Okay, let's get started. So, yeah, I'll start with my introduction. My name is Kuna Parmeshwar Rao. Okay, you can call me Kuna. So, I have 11 years of experience in the IT industry. Uh, and I work for service-based companies and product-based companies. And now, currently, I'm tied up with a big MNC company. And my role is principal site reliability engineer here. I'm based out of Hyderabad, and that's it, pretty much about myself. Okay, let us jump on to our uh, point of interest. So now we are here to discuss about the course of cloud automation using Python for DevOps. Okay, initially starting, I would like to thank you all for giving some time and giving me an opportunity to discuss or explain about this course. Okay, so being a weekend, dedicating your time to your professional growth is really a great thing, and I'm very thankful to it. Okay, coming back to our course. Okay, I would like to go more in depth about the title first. Okay, especially we highlighted the Python for DevOps. Here, our 70% of the course will be learning how to write Python code for DevOps. Okay, so why we have chosen this scenario? Why especially we are saying Python for DevOps is Visualpath being an experience, having an experience more than decades. So based on the feedback what we got from the last batches is that they are when they are studying about the DevOps, they are knowing about the tools, they are knowing about the tool functionalities. Okay, so they are getting the complete awareness of and becoming expertise on the tool uh, 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 the tool behavior. But the problem is when they onboard to the organizations, the gap is like they're unable to automate the infrastructure, or they're unable to write the automations on top of the tools. If something going bad with the tool, they are able to resolve it, they are able to find the solutions for it. But when they are asked for the automations on top of the tool, there was a a lack of skill set. Okay, so here we understood that problem. Okay, so in order to resolve that problem, we came up with this course Python for DevOps. Okay, so here in this course we will be completely learning how to automate the tools. Okay, then you may come up with where does this automation require for tools. Okay, so DevOps is not a single tool, right? It's a multiple tools, it's a combination of multiple tools. Okay, so when you want to communicate between the tools, how do you bridge that communication? Okay, so for that purpose we are going for this Pythonic language, okay, as the medium to bridge that communication between the tools. Okay, so that is a very short description of why the automation. Okay, but on a whole, here the agenda is like to make you write automations using Python and for DevOps. So that is the main goal here. Okay. So in our day-to-day classes, we will completely learn writing Pythonic code for DevOps modules. Okay. So in every class, you will be writing the Python code only. So this is what uh, your course will look like. Okay, then the cloud automation. Okay, so why the cloud automation came into picture is, so whatever the DevOps currently is there, okay, it's entirely uh, associated
Excuse
with
me.
cloud. Okay, yes.
Is there any screen sharing you have done it?
Come again, and 1 minute, I'm thinking like
Your screen is not sharing, yeah.
uh
screen is not shared with us actually.
Oh, I'm showing the presentation. Let
No, we're
me.
not able to see.
So everyone facing the same problem, unable to see my screen.
So it's just like a picture cloud automation using Python for DevOps
Oh,
picture.
okay, okay, fine, fine. I'm explaining about the title only. There are the next slides. Okay, okay. But there is a problem like my headset is not connected. Why I don't know. But is my audio clear for you?
Yes, pretty
Yeah,
good.
voice is
Audio.
audible.
Okay, then I will go without headset. Okay, somehow my headset is not connected. Okay, cool. I haven't actually changed the slide because I'm explaining about the title only. Why Python for DevOps and why cloud automation. Okay, so I'll be going
Okay.
with the next slides. So yeah, coming back to our discussion. So here, why cloud automation we kept is like, so whatever the DevOps tools are there currently in enterprise level, we are using all the DevOps tools from the cloud only. Okay, so that's the reason why we went to we we added the cloud automation also for this course. Okay, so this is all about cloud automation using Python for DevOps. I hope you are clear about the title. Okay, so just to brief, we are dealing with the DevOps tools, and the communication between the DevOps tools will be automated in your infrastructure using Python, and all the tools which are we choosing are from coming from the cloud. So we mentioned like cloud automation using Python for DevOps. Okay, so that is all about the title and how this course got originated. Okay, and that's the background. Okay, that's about the title. Now coming to agenda. Okay, so here agenda in the meaning, what is the agenda for this meeting. Okay, so I will discuss you about this program. Okay, and uh, uh, we will I will let you explore what about this problem, why about this program, and how we will drive this program. So three things we will discuss, and then we will finally go with the questionnaire and conclusion. Okay, yeah. So again, I have okay, I'm going with the DevOps now. As we are dealing with the DevOps, just I want to give a quick introduction of DevOps. But I know you are all aware of DevOps and what it does. But let me give a quick introduction. So DevOps means it's a development as well as operations. And from many decades, this DevOps is there in the industry. Okay, where the operations has moved to scripts where they used to develop some scripts, and then the scripts used to run the certain commands, and then they went to tools. Okay, so there are like many what I have mentioned the tools here. Okay, there are a lot of tools came into picture. Okay, so these tools, if you see, all these tools are a general tool set where we can install from the repositories. Okay, so such tools I mentioned here, that is what actually DevOps is. Okay, so we have a lot of tool set, and these tool sets are managing our infrastructure. Okay, so whatever the infrastructure we are maintaining, okay, in order to get the observability or monitoring or whatever we call, okay, so we want to maintain that infrastructure, we need to use these tools. So this is what the DevOps guys will be doing. Okay, so they will be using the tools, and they will be trying to maintain the infrastructure. So this is a very, I'm not going with any textbook definition, I'm going with what the real-time enterprise is doing. Okay, so this is all about DevOps, and I know you are you have some exposure and awareness on DevOps, so I'm not going deep into this DevOps uh, term. Okay, but let us understand what are the architect roles and responsibilities. Okay, so being a DevOps engineer, so what is your what would be your role and responsibilities. Okay, so one is maintaining and creating the infrastructure. Okay, so here creating the infrastructure. So when the term comes creating the infrastructure, we need to discuss how this infrastructure provisioning has some stages. Okay, that we will discuss after this slide. Okay, and then maintaining unique configuration. So this is very important, because when you say a particular application is running, on the background of that infrastructure you have many what servers running on the back end, right, to maintain the high availability. So when you have many servers running, you need to have a unique configuration among the servers, so that the request going to an arbitrary server should get the same response, okay, where in whichever server it goes. So for that reason, we need to maintain a unique configuration among all the servers. And then continuous integration and deployment. So whatever the development is being happened, okay, that should be deployed to the infrastructure. Okay, and that need to be automated. Okay, then migrations means whatever the legacy infrastructure is there, that is going to get migrated towards the new era of infrastructure. Maybe that's a cloud or an on-premises cloud. Okay, on-premises infrastructure, anything. So how you are migrating the legacy to on-premises. Okay, then monitoring. So monitoring is also a important tool, because how the management will see the infrastructure. Okay, how do you see all the infrastructure running, okay, with respect to the timeline. So these all you need to observe, right? So that's monitoring. And then security. The every enterprise now is concentrating and putting their values as security. Okay, so the first core values of all the organizations are security. So whatever the customer information is there, we need to give security from them. So when you mention this security, okay, how you maintain security within infrastructure. Okay, so they may be some like login, that is all developer security. But for infrastructure level, again you need to have a security, like it may be a networking kind of thing, or it may be like end-to-end encryption. Okay, these things should be done by, again, DevOps engineers. Okay, then on-call support with operations. So when we say monitoring is there, then we are obviously we need to have an on-call support also. So when monitoring says give some alerts, okay, there should be some team which should give the resolution for that alerts. Okay, so for that reason we need to have on-call support and operations. This is what a DevOps architect will be doing. Okay, so why I mentioned this all roles and responsibilities is, so whatever the course we are studying, some tools I have selected from for migration, some tools I have selected for security, some tools I have selected for integration and deployment. Okay, so if you see the our curriculum, you will be seeing set of DevOps tools. Okay, so which falls under each category. Okay, so when you are writing code for this each category, you will more understand what's going on, what's the importance of the each category. Okay, so this is all about the categories in DevOps, and we will be dealing at least one tool from each category, and we will try to write the automation for this. Okay, fine. So before going to the infrastructure, let me give a quick thing again about the cloud automation. Okay, here. Uh, just if we discuss about creating the infrastructure or maintaining the infrastructure, uh, we used to see the system admins. Okay, in uh, in the enterprise decades back. Okay, now there are very less roles of system administrators. Okay, why? Because what the system admins will do is they will directly log into the infrastructure. Okay, maybe it's an instance, or it's maybe hypervisor, it's maybe a virtual machine. Okay, and they will try to configure that machine. Okay, so this is what, with some automated script, Okay, so that may be a bash or any other language. Okay, so that is what the system admins will be doing. Okay, so later what happened is like uh, DevOps engineers came. Okay, so what DevOps engineers are doing is they have they also do the same things. They configure the mission. Okay, they will do some operations on the missions, but they do via tools. Okay, there may be orchestration tools. Okay, there may be configuration tools. So they are using the tools and they are doing the DevOps engineering. Okay, but if you observe what are the tools, if I take example ELK stack, okay, so Kafka, uh, or else Docker, okay, so these are all third-party tools where if we want these tools, we need to install it. Okay, that is what we are doing, right? So we are having some VMs and we are trying to install all these tools and we are trying to maintain the infrastructure. This is what being happened. But now if you see the enterprise, okay, so we are having SREs. So SREs means site reliability engineers. Okay, why we got to SRE? That is because all the tools which are we are installing from the from a third party is being rolled out to cloud now. Okay, so whatever the tools we have, we that are available in cloud. Okay, so now we are picking everything from the cloud and we are trying to manage our infrastructure in the cloud. Okay, so that is what happening. So now as this is becoming very familiar and what trending. Okay, so we have moved our course also to cloud automation. Okay, so whatever the Python for DevOps we used to teach, we moved our Python for DevOps also for using cloud automation. Okay, so previously we used to have this one with general Pythonic automation. Now we are moving to SRE cloud with cloud automations. Okay, so when we say the cloud automation, how we are uh, what integrating that cloud automation for DevOps. Okay, so for that to discuss, just a minute. Okay. Okay, so now whatever the infrastructure you need, okay, so this infrastructure is again a code. When I say cloud, okay, so the cloud is that infrastructure is we in short we call it as EAS. Okay, so this EAS is being an entirely coding manner, a declarative code. Okay, so we are choosing some tools for that declarations. Okay, so this infrastructure as a service being being communicated using some again some declarative codes. Here I have chosen Terraform as the source. Okay, so other than Terraform we have many other things, but as Terraform is the being widely used by the organizations, so I have chosen this Terraform. Okay, and Terraform supports more than 45 cloud vendors. Okay, so that's the importance of Terraform. So what we are doing is we are using the Terraform for cloud infrastructure provisioning and Python for automation. Okay, and in one stage what we will be doing is Python will generate the Terraform code and Terraform code will be provisioning your infrastructure. Okay, that's what the process that enterprises are following, and this course is entirely the objective is like to reflect what enterprises are doing. Okay, so again I am highlighting this sentence. In every class we deal with code only. Okay, we will be observing one scenario, we'll start writing the code. Okay, so I would recommend you also to parallelly write code with me and execute the code. Okay, that is what recommended for your better understanding. Okay, so yeah, so this is what the style of our course. Okay, so the main backbone of our course is we will be having a Terraform tool where we will be provisioning the infrastructure, and we will be writing some Pythonic code where we will be automating the communications between the infrastructure. Okay, and we will be choosing some scenarios, and basing on the scenarios we will be writing the automation. Okay, and I am trying to reflect as much as I can, and to be aligned with enterprises. Okay, how the what the enterprises are doing, we are trying to align with that structure. Okay, fine. So let us go with some examples here. Okay, so this slide is saying like, so we have some elastic service. Okay, uh, where uh, we have some elastic search. Okay, and this elastic search is going with a IAM role to access the bucket. Okay, so you need not to worry about the terminology here. Okay, if you are not aware of these things also, need not to bother much. Here I'm trying to say like, you have certain tools. Okay, so when there is a communication required between the certain tools, then there will be some protocols. Okay, so if you want to talk an instance with a storage, then you need to have some protocols which will establish the connection. If you go with the Terraform, we create an some IAM role, we will attach the IAM role, and then IAM with that access, it can talk with the bucket. Okay, so that is what using Terraform. But the backdrop of Terraform is like, it will it will spin up, or it will configure the things when you are provisioning the infrastructure. So when the infrastructure is getting provisioned, only it can configure any change. Okay, but it's not mandatory, or it's not a what a promise kind of thing, like only this role will be for a lifetime. Okay, so enterprises may come up at some time like, no, we don't want this IAM role, we want to change the IAM role or something. They will come up with some changes, and which you cannot roll out the changes again with Terraform. Okay, so at that stage, what you will be doing is you will be jumping into the automation. Okay, where automation will be running in the back end. Okay, so automation can be updated anytime. Okay, so as it is a direct scripting. Okay, so now we may come up with a token based authentication where you can write a Pythonic code for that. Okay, so these are certain situations I am explaining you why these automations are required for infrastructure. Okay, so here both are a correct way, but when I mention these two ways, see the difference. So when we are provisioning, we can keep some automation in place. When we are when it has some lifetime, okay, we need some automation there. Okay, so one such use case is that. Okay, then I'm going with the next use case. Okay, like Elasticsearch. So let's say we have an Elasticsearch here, where this all the tool, being a DevOps engineer, you know the functionality of the complete tool, right? So Kafka will be polling the messages, Logstash will be filtering the messages, Elasticsearch will be storing the messages, and Kibana, you can see visualize the messages. Okay, so whatever the messages are there in the Elasticsearch. Okay, so now the problem is like, then what's the need of SRE here. Okay, for enterprise, as the tool is already in place, they can just get the tool installed, use it. But for the enterprise, that will not work. Okay, because for the enterprise, there may be different versions of Kafka or different styles of Logstash that need to be provisioned every time. Okay, at that situation, we need to go with a Terraform scripts. Okay, where you can reprovision the infrastructure basing on your updates. Okay, so that is one thing where Terraform is required. And once, let's say, the tool is in place, okay, now you want to change the filters here inside the log stash. You want to put different filtering criteria. Then how do you integrate those filtering criteria? That for that you need a Python automation, right? So let's say the client is asking for, okay, he wants some access logs. You will be creating a filter for access logs, and he may come up with saying, no, I have my access logs, but I want to segregate my users. Okay, so he was asking for an update where again you should not change the whole infrastructure. Just you should have an automation where you can update just the filter. Okay, so for such cases, again, we need this Pythonic automation. Okay, and apart from that, how do you query the ES? Okay, so some automation is running which want to query your Elasticsearch. Okay, so how do you query that? Okay, again, you cannot install the Elasticsearch CLI and run the commands there, right? So you should have an automation where you can easily query the data and get the data. Okay, so that's the reason where again Python is needed. Okay, and you know, for automation, why we are especially choosing Python? Why can't we go with Go? Why can't we go with Java? Okay, so there are many languages, right? Why especially we are choosing Python? Because Python has uh, three advantages. One is Python is platform. Uh, uh, um, it can communicate with any platform. Okay, so it has the user friendliness with the platform. Okay, so either with Linux OS or with Windows OS or with any other OS. Okay, Python has that capability to communicate with the OS. Okay, so that is one of the advantage. Second advantage is like Python has, okay, both backend and front end capabilities. Okay, so with Python we can design the front end nature, with Python we can design the back end nature. Okay, so that is the uh, second advantage. The third advantage is that the uh, third party modules availability. Okay, so every tool is providing the third party modules with Pythonic code. Okay, they are providing Pythonic APIs. So that's the reason why we are choosing Python as the coding language for establishing your communication between all your tools. Okay, so this is the second example just I have mentioned here. Okay, for your better understanding. But if you see our curriculum, you will be dealing with lot many tools. Okay, and each and everywhere you will be seeing three terms. Like one is how we will deal it with Terraform. Second thing is how you would deal with the Python. Okay, third thing is what is the automation that we will be writing for the entire stack. Okay, so these three things you will be seeing in the curriculum. Okay, now coming to our Kubernetes. Okay, so here I would like to go with one more example. Okay,
Kuna, just sorry to interrupt you. What about the CI/CD tool like Jenkins and anything?
okay, yeah. So
Jenkins.
yeah, we have Jenkins where we are writing the automation and deployment using Python. And yeah, I am not going with all the examples. Okay, I have highlighted few examples, but if you see in the curriculum, we will have Jenkins one as one chapter where we will be dealing with how to do the deployments using Python, how to write the unit tests using Python. Okay, so that comes under Jenkins part, right? So whatever the Jenkins is dealing with the Python, I have put all that in that curriculum. Okay, so you can yeah, once have a look on the curriculum and see what the Jenkins and its related stuff is there. Okay, yeah. So hope I cleared your question. Okay, so I'm going forward. Okay, so here we are dealing with the Kubernetes infrastructure. Okay, so when I go with the Kubernetes infrastructure, generally you may come up with saying like, what's there, everything is automated in Kubernetes, right? So why we require again some automations on top of it, Kubernetes? Okay, but when coming to the enterprise level, that's the problem. Whatever tools are there, lot of automation will be there in the tool itself, but the problem is like the organizations will have some customizations that we need to write as an automation. Okay, that's the main problem here. Okay, and within the organization there will be again certain LOBs where you need to again segregate these tools to that LOBs. Okay, so in such case also we'll be writing some automation. Here let us look into a one such use case. Like whenever you have some API server within your Kubernetes master, okay, so if you want to communicate directly with the master, okay, you need to have some API server communication as well as tokens level authentication. Okay, so for this, as you are coming from the, you are communicating directly from the outside world of Kubernetes, okay, you need to have some automation running because the tokens get expired, okay, with a retention policy, as well as the API server communication should also get established, right? So for these two reasons we need to have an automation in place, okay, where you can communicate directly with the master server, API server, and you can get the details of what the master server is running. Okay, so in order to maintain the Kubernetes infrastructure, okay, in an on-premises cloud, you need to have this automation built on top of that. This is one such use case I'm trying to explain. Okay, so if you know to go to a node level of Kubernetes, okay, so I'm not going to explain in depth of this terminology, but I'm going to explain what is certs and SSH keys. So whatever the Kubernetes node is there, okay, let's say this node have a SLA, okay, of uh, yeah, of some certain time period. So how the time period will be using certs, right? So you'll give a certificate which will get expired within some time bomb. Okay, so there should be a rotation of the certificates. Okay, so for that purpose you need to have an automation where it need to figure out if the certificates is going to get expired. Okay, if it is getting expired, request a new certificate, get the certificate, install that certificate in the Kubernetes node. And as well, SSH keys. So let's say whoever are the employees onboarding to the organization, okay, as an admins or as an SREs, okay, they need to have direct access to this node, okay, to see what is going on back end of in the node. Okay, so whenever there is a deployment running, we need to see how the images are being there in this Kubernetes node. For that particular purpose, you need to have your authentication using SSH key pairs, right? So such key pair, whenever a new employee comes, you need to add that key. Whenever a employee exits, okay, you need to remove that key. So for all that purpose, again you need some automation. Okay, so these are a very less priority use cases, but why I'm mentioning here is to get an easy understanding. Okay, so we will be going with somewhat complex use cases during our course, but just I want to let you know that there are some requirement to write automation on top of each DevOps tool. Okay, to communicate between two tools or to customize a tool, we need an automation in place. Okay, so that is what we are trying to do in this course. Okay, so we are not going in depth of any tool. Okay, we will understand how to run that tool, how to spin up that tool, and then how to customize the tool either, or how to bridge a communication between the tools. Okay, this is what on a whole we will be doing during the uh, during our course. Okay, so again, uh, going about the system automation, I mainly divided our course into three parts, like system automation, then cloud APIs. Okay, okay. uh, So, coming to system automation. Okay, system automation is something like we will try to write the automations entirely dependent on platform. Okay, so there should be a medium where your tool is communicating with the underlying operating system. Either it may be Windows or it may be Linux. Okay, so you will be writing some automations where you will be learning how to write a Pythonic code for a communication between your tools and your underlying platform. Okay, so then cloud automation, and for cloud automation I have chosen this Amazon as the backend. Okay, so the infrastructure what we consider is entirely coming from Amazon web services only. And for Python being used, okay, we have a third party module called Boto 3 which is provided by Amazon. Okay, so we will be using that module, okay, to completely communicate with the cloud API. Okay, so next is like how would be our learning stack. Okay, so coming to the learning stack, so this is entirely about our course. So till now we have discussed about what and why. Okay, what is the course about and why we are doing all these automations. Okay, now I am going to tell you how we are going to drive the class. Okay, this is entirely about our course. Okay, so first I will try to get about the basics. Okay, so basics in the sense there are two things here we need to consider. One is Terraform and other one is Python. Okay, so you can think like 30% will be Terraform explanations and 70% will be Python explanations, because Terraform is a declarative language, right? So when you come into the basics, it will have very less basics like what are the variables and how, what are the modules, what are the resources, okay, what is the importing nature, that kind of very less basics will be there in Terraform. But whereas compared to Python, you will be having uh, a syntactical, and you need to have understanding of how the language is getting compiled. Okay, so how the syntax level things will be there, and what are the you mean built-in functions, built-in modules, what are all there, that you need to understand. So it's again a a big number of concepts here. Okay, so you need to understand all those things. Then you need to understand operating system related modules, how Terraform is communicating with the operating system, how your Python is communicating with the operating system. Okay, so I have mentioned few examples here. Okay, then file processing, so how the file processing would be. Okay, so here regarding the file processing, so how do you get some data from the files? Okay, it may be reading of keys or something like that in Terraform. It may be reading of some configurations or something from the Python. Okay, so here all these basics, okay, will be discussed aligned with Terraform, aligned with Python. Okay, and then testing and debugging. This is one more important concept. Okay, so how do you test your code and how do you debug your code? Okay, so I think there is some noise. So can you mute yourself?
So Kuna, how much Python knowledge do we need?
So as a prerequisite, you don't need to have any knowledge of Python, because I'm going to explain you the Python, right? So from the scratch, I'm starting here. So what is the basics? Okay, then I'm going to OS level, then I'm going to file level, then I'm going to tell you how to test and debug. So from the scratch, I will start Python, and from the scratch, we will start Terraform. Okay, so that is what I'm trying to say. But in a class, if you take, okay, 30% of the time we will be discussing about Terraform, 70% of the time we will be discussing about the Python. Okay, and mostly our day-to-day activity will be writing code. Okay, so we will be having a declarative template of Terraform where you will be generating the infrastructure. Then for writing the automation, we will use Python, right? So we need to write all the classes or whatsoever appropriate code is there, we need to develop that code. For Terraform, we need not to develop. It's a declarative syntax. Okay, we can just take a snippet, we can fill all the snippet, we can provision the infrastructure. But coding is not like that, right? So we need to develop that script. So 70% of the class will be developing the script, 30% of the class will be running the Terraform templates. Okay, and yeah, coming to your question, I'm not expecting any background knowledge from you. Okay, I from the starting day itself, I will be nailing the basics first. Then slowly I will move you into the script level automation. Then slowly I will move into the automation. Okay, that is what our the driving style would be. Okay. So here, testing and debugging, as well as when we say that we have developed some automation, how do you test that automation? Okay, so that is very important. And then when you are developing some code, how do you debug that code? That is also important. Okay, so these two scenarios also will be learning uh, at the testing and debugging stage. Okay, so in between, I will let you know what is productive development also. So whenever we are writing an actual automation, I will try to align with enterprise coding standards. Okay, so like clean code, readable code, okay, Pepite standards, and all this. Okay, so I will trying to let you know how the enterprise will be expecting the code. Okay, for a stable to increase the stability of the code. Okay, as well as the standards. Okay, so now I have segregated our course into three parts. One is Docker containers, other one is cloud APIs, and the other one is infrastructure as a code. Okay, so when I mention DevOps, okay, so how do you get these tools? So you may have that question, right? So what tools we are considering, how do we get the tools, and what's the thing we are doing with those tools? Okay, so here some of the tools we will be getting it as a cloud Docker containers. Okay, so lot of tools we have the availability as a container. So to understand the tool or to initially experiment on the tools, we can run those tools as a containers, and then we can write the automations on top of that. Then we'll go to cloud APIs. Okay, so cloud APIs is one more Python SDK. Okay, we will be dealing with Python SDK of cloud, and we will be writing the automations to communicate with the cloud. And then the other part is infrastructure as code. Okay, so here we will be writing the declarative code or the Terraform, using Terraform. Okay, we write the declarative code and we'll spin up the infrastructure. So this is what the three parts you will be seeing in our course structure. Okay, so the tools will be initially be coming from Docker containers, then we will be communicating the tools with the cloud APIs, and we will be provisioning the tools using Terraform. So this is how the DevOps tools we manage. So implementation stack. Okay, so the for here I am not mentioning any list, all DevOps tools I mentioned. Okay, because a lot of tools are available with containerization. Okay, so we will be directly getting those containers into our local, and we will be dealing with those containers. Okay, and the tools will be within the container. And then PyModules. So whatever the Python code we consider, okay, I mean not code, apart from Python built-in libraries, we are actually getting the PyPy modules. Okay, so whatever the DevOps tool is there, it is providing some third-party library. We need to get the third-party library, and then we need to work with that third-party library, which all the libraries will be available with pip. Okay, we are going to use those things. Okay, so this slide is telling you like what are the technical things we are getting, how the technicalities we are getting. The previous slide has explained how the tools you are getting, and this slide is explaining how the technical things you are getting. Okay, so all the apart from the Python code, we will be installing the third-party modules, and we will be using those third-party modules here. Okay. And regarding the deployment, okay, once we are done with the automation, we will see how to package that automation and how to ship it to your enterprise. Okay, how the enterprise maintain that packages. Okay, that we are going to see. Then monitoring and logging. Once you are done with the automation, how do you monitor that? Okay, so they need to be, for a lifetime it is running, means you need to have a monitoring and observability on top of that, right? So how the monitoring will happen, how the logging will happen. So these are all various concepts, but the similarity between all these things is everything is a code. Okay, so when I am writing the code, I will cover all these things. So when you say I'm writing an automation, okay, in that automation I will see whether we are doing logging or not, whether we are doing monitoring or not, how, whether we can package it or not, how can we what dependency third party modules are there, how to install them. Okay, so everything we will consider and we will write the automation, and that automation I will try to align as much as with enterprise infrastructure. Okay, how the enterprise standards are. Okay, there went a problem with some slide. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so yeah, what are the prerequisites required for this uh, course to in order to pursue this course? Okay, so here DevOps modules. So as we are using many DevOps modules in this course, okay, I would expect like you to be having some awareness on the modules, what they are doing, or at least try to explore those modules internal functionalities, how it is working. Okay, so as we are writing some automation on top of DevOps tools, right? So we are not writing anything internal to a tool. Okay, so when I mention on top, meaning we should know what the DevOps tool is doing. Okay, so I will be giving you a brief explanation and functionality of the DevOps tool what we are using, but it is recommended to have a more exposure on the tool, or else explore the tool's functionalities, so that you can get some use cases to more increase the automation automating levels. Okay, so what more can be automated, that you will come to know only if you know what is the features and inside of that DevOps tool. Okay, so having some exposure on DevOps modules and hands-on in Linux. Okay, because when you deal more with the containers, but see, 90% of organizations are entirely running their infrastructure on Linux. Okay, if there is some dependency on Windows modules what they are using, unless until they are using the Azure services. Okay, so most of the organizations use Linux. Even in the Azure, you have a provision where you can use Linux inside the Azure cloud also. Okay, so most of the thing you depend on Linux, so better is to have some hands-on on Linux. So let's say an example like how to copy the files, how to find out a file. Okay, how the operating how a minimal level of commands will be running along with your command line arguments. Okay, so at least have some hands-on on Linux. Okay, then time for practice, this is very important. Why? Because day to day we will be writing the code only, you will get bored if you are not aligned with my conceptual understanding. Okay, so for that purpose you should give some time. Okay, you should spend some time apart from this course to understand the concepts, to understand the code. The more you work on code, the more interest you will get to write the code. Okay, so this is very important, or else at certain time if you are not aligned with my code, okay, what I'm explaining, you may get bored of why I'm writing the that there may be oops concepts I may be using. Okay, so I will be depending on the old code, and I will be writing the new code. Okay, so whatever the written modules are there, I don't want to rewrite the modules. I will directly use that module and I will develop some new code. So at that time, you need to have a awareness on what the old module is doing. Okay, so always try to keep aligned your practice along with my uh, uh, code. Okay, what I'm trying to teach at that class. Okay, that will benefit you a lot. So this is all more about this course. Okay, so this is the expectations from your side. Okay, what I am expecting from your side. Okay, so yeah, I am mostly done with my um, presentation. Again, having a I'm telling in a brief, like we covered what's the about the title and how this course getting originated. Okay, then I have explained you why Python is important and why Terraform is important. Okay, and I explained you what will be our day-to-day activity and how this I will drive these sessions. Okay, so this is all about yeah, mostly I'm done with my presentation, so you can go with your questions.
Hi Parmeshwara, when you planning to start this batch?
So yeah, managerial operations I'm not much aware of, so you may reach out to management and yeah, you can get the details from them.
Yeah, because 2 weeks before I attended a similar demo, so till now I
Yeah.
didn't get information on the batch time. That's the reason was.
Yes, come again, I did not listen.
No, 2 weeks before I attended the same demo. So after that, I followed up with the management. They told they will start in a week, but till now
Yes,
it does
but
not start.
yeah, certainly that will be within the week. Okay, I can tell
Okay.
that. But what is the exact date? I'm yeah, I'm not sure of. Okay,
Okay, fine. I'll
but
check with them.
yes, that is true.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, yeah. Uh, any other question?
Can you please
One
take
question
us
on
through
the
the what are the contents actually we are going to cover altogether, and how depth we are going to cover inside?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Uh, Give me a minute. Just I will get that. I will pull the document. Okay.
Sure. Dharmesh, what I understand here is, so this will be completely based upon the AWS environment, right? So,
So whatever the automations we write, okay,
mhm.
that will be, yeah. So the background tool, we need to have infrastructure, right? Let's say Kubernetes, we need to have EKS. Let's say ELK again, okay. So we need to have MCS. So like this, for every tool we need to have we need to get support from any of the cloud vendor. It may be Oracle Cloud, it may be AWS Cloud. I have chosen what AWS as the cloud provider.
Okay.
Parmeshwar, regarding monitoring and logging part, right? So are you going to cover anything on Prometheus, Grafana, or Nagios kind of monitoring tool?
Not exactly Prometheus. Okay, we will be dealing with how to send the notifications. Okay, and then yeah, partly for Grafana, how the REST APIs we design. That is what we are going to cover, but not with Prometheus, because uh, for Prometheus, it will be directly fetching the data from Kubernetes pods itself, right? So we are not going to run any particular Python automation on top of that. So yeah, we are not going with Prometheus. We will be going only with Grafana.
So when you say
While
mail notification, right? So it's something like we can configure, we will write a module where we can configure that module with Microsoft Outlook or Slack or Jira, something like that.
yeah, that we have done, but
Uh-huh.
you may consider see the Slack integration will be there. Like see the Slack integrations I am going to explain. So
Okay.
so the source may be anything. So you will learn how to integrate Slack with any source, where your source should trigger the Python script. The Python script will be sending the notifications to your Slack or notifications to your mail. Okay. So that is how we will be learning here.
So on the Jenkins, no, so you'll touch base on the shared libraries, right? How can we make use of shared libraries, modules, something like that, in the Jenkins part?
No, in Jenkins, what happens is two things we are covering, like how to make the deployments using the Pythonic module they have given inside the Jenkins. Okay. And the other thing is how to run your unit test cases where the testing all
Oh,
stage. Okay. How we will run that testing stage especially. Okay. So these two things only we are going to cover with Jenkins.
okay. So in the Jenkins file, mainly we use Groovy script to run the CI/CD pipeline part. So here,
No, apart from Ruby, it is providing a Pythonic way also to do the deployments. So that
fine,
is
fine.
the part where we will cover, not the Groovy.
Okay.
Okay. Fine. So this is the curriculum. Okay. So in the curriculum, as like I mentioned, the basics somewhat will be less for Terraform, where it is a declarative language, but this is a coding language, right? So scripting language, right? So we need to understand the complete functionality of how the Python is running, how the background, how it compiles, and what is the syntax, and what is the object oriented concepts. Okay. And again, all these whatever I mentioned here, I have kept Python for DevOps in mind, and I have written this curriculum. Okay. So you may be asking again, like why we haven't covered that part of Python, or let's say if suppose some concepts are like pandas and all, we need not to cover those things, right? So we are dealing with DevOps, so there is no importance for pandas here. Okay. So something like so such which are of less priority, I have ignored those things. So which are of in your day-to-day scripting, and what enterprises are giving the assignments. Okay. Based on that, I have prepared this curriculum, and as well as the basics also. Okay. So have a thorough look, and you can get back to you if you feel like something is missing, or if we can enhance something, include something. Okay. So these are all about the basics. Then I have started with the tools. Okay. So the majority of the tools, see, for every tools we select, okay, we will have an end automation also. So we will be learning how to write Pythonic code for all these modules. Okay. And at the end, we will write one automation. Okay. And this automation is not stick to your particular that chapter. Okay. It will be using the previous chapters also. Okay. If we are done with the Git automation, then you can use that Git also in this automation. Okay. That is the why I am mentioning, like, please be aligned with me, so that the old things will be coming into, we will be reusing that in the next coming chapters. Okay. So that is how the automation would be. Okay. Then the system automation, the Docker automation, AWS, Kubernetes. Okay. Jenkins, how to send notifications, how to deal with the databases, how to deal with EAS using Python. Okay. I mentioned, like, right. So now organizations are not writing any Terraform code. Okay. Instead, they are generating the Terraform code. So all the declarative scripts are getting generated. Nowhere they are being written and executed. Okay. So that is where the cloud formation or the resource manager came into picture. Okay. So how we will use this Python also to generate those declarative scripts. Okay. That also we are going to study. We are going to study packaging and all. Okay. So this is all what about your course curriculum would be. Okay. So have a thorough look. Okay. Then come back to me with your suggestions or with your concerns. Okay.
Parmeshwara, we need any VM to be installed on a laptop to
Yes,
install
yes.
this
We need
Terraform.
that. We will be using Vagrant. We will be using Docker containers. We will be using cloud. Okay. So these
Uh-huh.
are we need all those.
Okay, so
So
for that, you will share the steps, right? How to install the background, the other
so
things.
I'm not going to put much time on that. What I will do is I will share the videos. Okay.
Okay.
So how
Uh-huh.
to install Vagrant? Our Visualpath have all that videos. So
Okay,
wherever
okay.
there is certain scenario like seeing the video, you can run all the commands and put your spin up your infrastructure. There I will not again explain you in the class. I will just share you that video. You can have
Okay.
yourself.
Okay. So that is main prereq before even starting our course, right? Without that, we cannot do practice session on that.
Yes, yes, correct, correct. So yeah, I will. Yeah. So yeah, I will give that time scope for you. Not a problem.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will be giving a heads up on what we are going to use, so you can be prepared by that time. Okay.
And what are the materials we are going to get it end of the day? Is there recording also available for us, or how it is?
Yeah. So finally, let me show you. Oh, okay. Maybe I closed it. Okay, okay. So okay. Okay. So you'll be getting the we will be having a GitLab repository. Okay, so you will be getting all the code what we develop. Okay, as a source code in your GitLab repo. Okay, I'll be adding you to that repo. Okay, so you can pull from there.
Just talking about the materials for the course as well as the is there any recording available in case in future
Recordings
we
will be
want to
available.
review
You
it?
can yeah, you can ask for the management. If you miss any class, you will get the recording. Whatever the material is there, I will be pushing everything to GitLab only. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
whatever the std out we get, I will put everything all in a text file, and then I will push it to repo only. So I want it to be a single source. Okay, again, not multiple sources like giving the links and all. So whatever the material is there, I will push everything to GitLab.
So the training session would be like 1 hour or 2 hours per day.
It depends actually. So ideally it will be 1 hour 15 minutes.
Oh, okay, okay.
But when we have like weekends, initially for 2 weekends, I will not consider Saturdays. Saturday, Sunday, anyway, we are not going to have class. Initially 2 to 3, I will not consider the Saturdays, but later on we will start with the Saturdays because we need to do practice on that day. Okay, I will not uh, uh, convey you any new topics or technical things. We will just do the practice. If any
Yeah.
lagging syllabus is there, we will be covering there.
Okay.
So that
Sure.
I plan on Saturdays, and yeah, the other days we will be going with our daily sessions. But once again, I'm mentioning every class will be coding only. So you should get prepared in such a way that you will be seeing some code and you will be writing in parallel and you will be executing.